Hell to you all out there. My name's Anthony, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what led me to Wotanism tonight. I'd like to tell you what led me to Wotanism was something beautiful. Like, I figured out I was the descendant of Ragnar Lothbrok or something. But in reality, what led me to Wotanism was probably embarrassment and shame. And I'll try to explain on how I can say that, because that's no word that we ever use, being a Wotanist. Alright, so I'm a curious guy. I'm a guy that likes to know the answers to everything. So of course, when I was a child, I had plenty of questions. I had plenty of serious questions. What are we doing here? Why are we here? How did we get here? What is our purpose of being here? The family I grew up in, I wouldn't consider religious. I guess they believe in God and whatever, but nobody talked about it. Nobody read the Bible or anything like that. For a long time, I really had no way to answer questions. So I'd seek them out on my own. I like to read from a young age. I enjoyed reading, so I've always searched and searched and searched for the meaning of everything. I guess I started looking into the Bible maybe, I don't know, I was a juvenile. I was in TDH. It was a detention home because, of course, I had no answers to any questions. So, I had, virtues and values on some degrees. Don't mess around with your buddy's girlfriend. Don't snitch. Don't steal from your friends. But I had no discipline. I had no structure. I had no morals on what was wrong and what was right. And so I found myself in a lot of trouble. Well, I picked up the Bible in the detention home and I started reading. And for a little bit, man, some stuff made sense. So I kept on reading. I kept on reading. I got out of the detention center. I went to church, and there I realized these people were the same as me. They were no different. They still lied. They still cheated. They were still hypocrites. And the worst was, I couldn't get any questions answered. Just have faith. The Bible's not big enough to tell you everything. So I continued searching. And in the meantime, I continued getting in trouble repeatedly. I just realized the other day I'm 30 years old, and this is the first time I've been home a straight 12 months since I was 14. I've been home 13 and a half months now. It doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but to me that's incredible. Anyways, so I kept searching. And I read little bits of everything here and there. I've always been a history buff. Ancient civilizations has always been my favorite subject. So I've always read about Greece and Rome and Germany, but I never got into the what made them tick aspect, the gods and the goddesses, the pantheons, the virtues that they instilled in their children, that they were expected to pass on to their descendants. So I guess more trouble ensued, and I found myself in prison yet again. And I decided one day I'd like to read about my ancestors. I'd always heard I was Swedish and German. So, I just started reading books. And I started seeing symbols, which made me want to read more. I believe one of the first things I read was King Harold's saga. And I was enthralled at the strength, at the ability to go without stopping, no matter the odds, no matter the consequences. And to be honest with you, I was a little embarrassed about how strong these people were compared to me and the way I was leading my life, the sacrifices they were making for their descendants, and the legacy I was leaving for mine. So I continued reading. I'll never forget the first book I read, really on the subject, was Voice of Our Forefathers. And, man, still kind of an emotional moment, the awakening that I received on like that very day. I think within the next 90 days after reading that book, I sponged in 35 books. I couldn't put it down. I'd get up in the morning, go out in the rec yard and work out, and come in, I wouldn't get out of bed, man. I couldn't stop reading books. I went from everything. Stephen McNallen books, Ron McVan books, Edric Thorson books, Icelandic sagas, Nordic dictionaries. I mean, I read everything, anything I could reach. And I kept reading. And what the decision that made me change my life was, I no longer wanted to be an embarrassment to my descendants, or to my grandmother, or to my ancestors looking down on me after everything they've done to get me here. I felt like the last leg on a relay race. Everybody worked their ass off and gave it 110%, ran around 3/4 of the track, and they got to me, and I'm dropping the torch. And I decided right here and now, well, right then, this is it. There's no more. And I continued reading. I continued talking to everybody. I talked to everybody I could. I read everything I could. I called my mom from prison and got her to print stuff out to send me. I mean, I got anything from anywhere I could get. And I wrote this. This was the day that I dedicated my life. This was the date I wrote it. April 20th, 2015. From this day forward, I hereby denounce the unnatural ways and beliefs of Christianity taught to me by people who have lost their way on our ancestral path. Beginning this day, I vow to follow the laws of nature and the universe. In all my steps and actions, I vow to bring honor and pride to my folk and kin. I choose this day to dedicate my life to the virtues and values set by our forefathers. I ask for courage and bravery from Tyr, wisdom and knowledge from Wotan, kindness and eloquence from Balder, and most of all the strength of Thor to defend our life, beliefs, and folk from all who wish to do us harm. From this moment on, I will do everything in my power to hail and honor the mighty Asir and Vanir. April 20th, 2015. The first time I read lore was, I think, December 2013. By the time I could really get my hands on anything, it was the beginning of 2014. So as of right now, I've still got a lot to go. I've still got a lot to learn, and I'll always have a lot to learn. It's only been 3 years of reading for me now. But the difference when I think of what led me to Wotanism now was pride, responsibility, and accountability. I'm going to be held accountable for my actions by the laws of the universe and by the laws of nature. And what I mean by that is the accountability that I'm going to receive isn't a prison sentence or a slap on the wrist. My bloodline disappears. The culture that my family has passed down for generations will be gone. And when I think about it and I look around and I see all my folk, if I can't be that stand-up Aryan man to spread the message on, how long will our folk still be around? What leads me to Wotanism now? Duty. Duty to my folk. Pride for my ancestors. Honor for my gods and goddesses. Hopefully that will help introduce and answer any questions. Thank you.